How should you invest 5 to 10 years from retirement? All right, so my man Lance Armstrong from Tejas, it's not Lance Armstrong, but Lance man had to email me this. I've saved a small pile that's been on the sidelines since my Fidelity brokerage link government cash reserves for several years. I've been unable to put it to work because it is still working though, Lance. Your money right now is working. It wasn't a year and a half ago, but it is now. So, don't kill yourself here because it is working very, very well now, 5%. I've been unable to put to work because I fear of losing my life savings. Now I have trouble walking away from the current yield on cash. I know this won't last for long, and I want to put my savings into moderate investments. I hate high fees and love dividends, but I don't want to be in the business of picking stocks or funds. And I don't want a bunch of investments either, 100%, man. You mentioned someone else probably needs to manage my money because my emotions prevent me from doing anything but saving. You mentioned funds like Wellington, Puritan, Balanced Fund, and even discuss your views on long-term treasuries. Some of these may be a good opportunity today. I thought you could do a video discussing the range of conservative to moderate investments for those of us 5 to 10 years from taking anything out. All right, so let's dive into this because I just got off the phone, literally right now with these people, and lots of money in the TSP-G fund, and that's just their government bond fund. And everybody's been crapping on the G fund for years. And I said, dude, the G funds that catch me out because there's no downside risk. And so this lady, for instance, had 1.3 million in the G fund. Is paying 3.625 now. So she's getting $50,000 a year of interest guaranteed on the G fund. And I told her, I said, just think, and we'll call her Missy. I said, Missy, just think if you would have retired in the end of 2021 and rolled that G fund over to an intermediate bond fund, all right, you would be down 14%. 14%. All right, so the reason I say this is there a need to get out of the G fund? Or my man here, Lance, is there a need to get out of the money market? Have you actually crunched the numbers to see how you're going to shake out? So with Missy and her worser half, we'll call them Bob and Missy. They're about 10% stocks, 90% G fund, and they're crushing because they're like getting so much money on the G fund because they've been working, saving money for decades now. If you won the game, stop playing. Now they're about ready to retire, and so this is a little bit different for Lance. But it's like, how do you know you need to be more than the money market account if it's paying 5%? Now, at some point, the money market account won't be paying 5%, but it is right now. So you were satisfied with the money market account for when the money market account wasn't doing anything because your emotions were scaring you to death. Why would that change now, Lance? Why would that change now? If you were to put the money into a stock investment, for instance, or even a moderate investment, stocks and bonds, now you're leaving 5% on the table and you're going to go into an investment that has volatility. You think you're going to be less emotionally constrained? No, you're going to be more so because you had 5%, not guaranteed, but right now it's pretty much guaranteed, at least for the time being. Certainly that could change. So just because you're 5 to 10 years out of retirement doesn't mean that you should move anything. It means who you are as an investor. I'm 53, just turned 53. I got 25% of my money in cash, 25% of my money in long-term government bonds, and 50% of my money in stocks. My wife is 49, so we're still long-term investors. I'm getting 5% of my cash. I think my long-term government bonds have a serious upside. And in the interim, I'm still getting about 3, 4, I think it's 4% right now in the yield on the long-term government bonds. And I think there's some serious upside potential there if the rates do go down. And my stocks will do whatever stocks will do. For me, that's a perfect portfolio because I got enough cash that's paying me enough interest rate that they can help pay the bills if things go south. And I still got some debt. And I just know if things go south in a big way and my stocks go, my cash won't. And I can use that cash to make ends meet. There's no reason that you have to violate your emotional stance to say, well, I should be 60-40. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Now, with that said, I want to show you guys something here. Check this out. Here's a Vanguard portfolio allocation models, and you can see right here, if this is 2021, you're in 2022 now. You'd say, if I had 100% bonds, my worst year was in 1969 when we were down 8.1%. All right. My best years in 1982 were up 45%. Weird. How could that possibly happen? Interesting. Anyway, my worst year was down negative 8.1. You're like, I can handle negative 8.1. So I'm going to roll over into the bond fund because right now I'm getting a decent, well, back in 2022, we weren't getting much, but because I need to be more aggressive in my portfolio. All right, so let me show you some here. What are the BND? Oh my goodness. The total bond market was down 13% in 2022 after being down 1%, 2% in 2021. So you rolled that money over and you are now 13%, what is it, 13.11 minus 8.1 divided by 8.1 divided by 8.1. So you were now 60%, you took on 60% more loss in 2022 than the historical worst year ever. Because that's 60% higher. 13% is 60% higher than 8%, if that makes sense. Or is it 40%? I guess 40% higher, excuse me, 40%. So your portfolio lost 40% more in 2022 than it ever did before. Tell me that's not crazy. Yes, it is. It's crazy. So you're like, well, yeah, but Josh, I could have gone to, here's a balanced portfolio. We'll say, let's do balance. We'll say this right here, 40-60. My worst year was 1931 at negative 18%. Well, yeah, guess what happened in 1981? We also had almost 10% deflation. So let's look at Wellesley Fund as an example. And we say, what's the ticker is VW, Vinic, V Winks. We're going to winks. We're going to winks at you like Sniffy Joe winking at that little, oh, what a freaking peed. Why is that guy not in prison? Sniffy Joe needs to be in prison for his issues with young girls. Let's put it that way. All right, anyway, so here, 2023, Wells is only down 9%, so not nearly as bad as what I anticipated. But still, are we out? So you could say, look, 18%, I don't want to lose that. But that was in 1931. Now we're in 2021. I'm not going to lose that much money, and yet we did. We lost, basically 9% of our portfolio in 2022. Let's see, year-to-date returns on Wellesley. YTD return. Let's see what Wellesley's done so far year-to-date. And again, I'm not a big fan of Wellesley anymore because the Wellington Group has gone woke, and they can kiss my big fat hiney. But year-to-date, Wellesley is up 2.44%. So it hasn't even made enough income or enough to make up for last year's loss, and yet cash is now paying 5. So the issue we have to contend with is, why do we need the growth on our portfolio? Now, if you need some growth, like I need some growth. I can't sit here at $150,000, $300,000, $1 million, $15,000. I don't care how much you have. I can't sit there and only get 2% a year in income. You know what I'm saying? I need some growth, and so I'm willing to take some stock risk. I am. But you don't have to do this. If you can make buy on just whatever money you get, $500,000 at 5%, that's $25,000 a year of income. You reinvest that, it's compounded now. That 525, we'll just say it keeps up. So 500,000 at 5% a year is $25,000 of income. Now it's 525 times 5%. Now we made an extra $1,600 because the next year we made $26,250. See the compounding nature of that? Is that enough to pay the bills? I don't know. I don't know what your expenses are. I don't know what your debt level is. I don't know. But in of itself, there's no you have to go anywhere else. You just don't. You can do whatever you want. But I would be hesitant to do something that's going to make you lose sleep at night, because the minute you do that and the markets turn south, you're going to be like, I should have stayed where I was. You're going to kick yourself in the head. Don't do that. And then you're going to get right out too. The market will fall. You're like, I got to get out now. I should never have moved. And then you're going to miss the upside. Anyway, there's no right or wrong answer here, Lance. I just think you got to figure out what works for you. If you can do a financial plan and you can get 5% a year on your money and that works, man, there's no reason to stay the course. Obviously, that 5% a year is not guaranteed. So when it stops, we have to readjust. But for right now, I don't know. Dude. You got to do what you got to do. I'm just telling you what I've done. And that doesn't mean you should follow me. But I'm also 5 to 10 years out from retirement. And I'm 50, 25, 25. Love your thoughts. If these videos help you and want to buy me a cup of Joe, it's in the doobly-doo. And don't forget to sign up for my email list as well. Thanks, guys. Love your comments.